to stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, good evening. Thank you everyone for coming down. Board President to advise members of the audience that they may address the board regarding agenda items after the superintendent's report. Only those members whose names and addresses are listed on the sign-in sheet available prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized during new business. The chairperson will limit discussions of any items by the public to 3 minutes in order for the board to expeditiously conduct its business. Before I throw it over to Mr. Manzo, I'd like to, last few months have been about Mr. Dolan and Mr. Dolan leaving, but I would certainly like to congratulate Mr. Manzo, who's officially hosting his first meeting. And we also have a newcomer up to the stage in Dr. O'Rourke. So I'd like to welcome them in their new position. Thank you. After you, sir.
Good evening. So tonight I have two presentations that will be taking place, but before we start that, I would like to just report to the Board of Education that I've had the opportunity to attend several athletic events over the past few weeks, and the performance and behaviors that I've seen from our students is just remarkable. The sportsmanship, their kindness, just the way they conduct themselves is really admirable, and I want to congratulate them for displaying such great sportsmanship and represent East Islip in a positive light. And with that said, so I'm looking forward to in the next few months to bring some of these teams up and other academic achievers to be recognized publicly in our next few meetings. Okay. At this time, I would like to ask Krista Legg, Director of Special Services, to come up to provide the presentation on Aaron's Law.
Is that better? Yeah. All right. So I'm just doing a short presentation on Aaron's Law. Over the past about year and a half, I've been working with the social workers and the elementary guidance counselors to kind of work on how we're going to start working on Aaron's Law within the school. So I just kind of wanted to go over a little information session on what Aaron's Law is, so that the board and the community kind of know what it is that we're doing within the school. So a little background on Aaron's Law is it was created by Erin Merrin, who was a childhood assault survivor, and she's worked really hard throughout the country to petition to get all the states to adapt Aaron's Law to be within their public schools. So in 2019, by Erin Merrin, who was a childhood assault survivor, and she's worked really hard throughout the country to petition to get all the states to adapt Aaron's Law to be within their public schools. So in 2019, by Erin Merrin, who was a childhood assault survivor, and she's worked really.
Who is Aaron again?
Now I know what I sound like, so thank you. Now I got thrown off. All right, so in 2019, New York State passed that all public schools are mandated to have Aaron's Law within their schools. So we've been working to kind of put together a curriculum for our schools. So really, if you're talking about Aaron's Law, it has to be a child abuse prevention program that teaches students, and it's for our students K through 8, and it's for our students, our school personnel, and for our parents and guardians on the website. So at the end, this will be on our website, and you can kind of go through the links of Erin's Law to kind of see there's information for parents as well to be able to see how to help support them. So what is Erin's Law? It is supposed to be proactive, so it's prevention focused for our students. It's all about body safety and boundary education, and it's a New York State mandate that we need to work on every year. What it's not supposed to be reactive. So we're not just responding to any situations. It's supposed to really be teaching and having students understand. It's not sex education. It really is just talking about safety and being able to vocalize and be comfortable being able to talk to people. And it is not optional for schools to implement. So our schools have to have this in place. So when we looked at how to develop the curriculum, New York State does have a whole bunch of resources online, free ones for us to use. So we had gone through and kind of pulled different New York State resources, and like I had said, when we worked with our social workers and guidance counselors, we looked at, for each K through 8, they have specific objectives, what they need to work on, and kind of creating our own that fits into East Islip. What we did find was that some of the requirements we're already doing. We're already having those conversations through our health curriculum, our restorative circles that we have going on, and even in the library curriculum. So our social workers and guidance counselors have helped develop these lessons. They follow the New York State Great Bands. And when we looked at all the different programs that were out there, we really found that there's one specific one, Kids Smart, that really seemed to, I think all the social workers and all the guidance counselors thought really kind of connected with our school and our students the best, but still tailoring it to East Islip. So when we looked at certain lessons and certain videos that we had thought maybe this isn't the most appropriate or we didn't like it, we looked to kind of supplement with different books, children's books, picture books to help support. And then our social workers and guidance counselors are going to be pushing into the classrooms for these group lessons. So when I talk about what the lessons and activities are, it's broken down for New York State into grade bands. So it goes K2 through 5 and 6 through 8. So our K2, for really what their topics, what they're going to be talking about, is body boundaries, which really is personal space, letting our students know that they should be comfortable enough to let us know what makes them comfortable, what doesn't. Just every person has different personal space of how close or how far they're comfortable with people around them, and being able to allow students to know that they can kind of just be able to verbalize that. No-go tell, similar to stranger danger, but also knowing that it could be anybody and being able to, again, be comfortable being able to say no. Who trusted adults are, and then safe and unsafe touches. Then really 3 through 5 has a lot of the same and similar topics, but we move into internet safety, so understanding what we share and what we don't share on the internet. Healthy relationships, our friendships, knowing what a friendship should look like, knowing about sharing friends and being able to be comfortable with that. Then when we get to the older grades, it's also, again, very similar. It's the healthy and unhealthy relationships, talking about adding in a lot more about the social media, peer pressure, and just having those type of conversations a lot more revolved around internet. And that's really what we're going to be focusing on. There will be a parent letter that goes out, kind of just explaining everything, but I just thought it would be good to be able to kind of share it with everybody before we even get started. So our social workers and guidance counselors are looking to start in March, pushing into the classrooms for this. Once this is on our website, you can click onto any of these links just to kind of get some more information about Erin's Law and different activities that we'd be using through Kids Smart. And that's my quick presentation. If anyone has any questions.
How many class periods, like how many times do they push in?
So right now they're going to be pushing into each classroom about twice.
Now is it like, one social worker? Like how are we doing it logistically?
They're going to have a social worker and the guidance counselor go together. So they didn't want to have just one person in the classroom doing the lessons. So they're pairing them up since we have the elementary guidance counselors. They go between the buildings, so they're going to, they have a schedule of rotating being able to go in.
All right, so the social worker in that building will do all the classrooms along with the guidance counselor.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Is that all?
That's all.
Ms. Lake, thank you. Anything that keeps our kids safer and more educated about these things that do happen, unfortunately, everywhere. So that's great. So we look forward to this program being developed and get it going. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Krista.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, our second presentation this evening is the multi-tier system of support, which is really our plan for response to intervention and academic intervention services. That plan will be on the board agenda next month for approval. However, I've asked Dr. Anderson, Director of Humanities, Mike Hansen, Director of Math and Science, Krista Legg, Director of Special Education, and our Executive Director of Instructional Technology and Student Achievement, Mr. Richard Izowitz. They will be presenting the MTTS plan.
Thank you for the opportunity to tell you a little bit about the plan that we hope to put forward that you'll be looking at over the next month or so. We started looking at our RTI and AIS plan probably about a year ago. We went into the buildings and spoke with the people that are actually providing the services to see how is it working, what's working well, what's not working, to see that we were consistent between our 4 buildings. And from that, we came back and we realized we're more consistent than inconsistent, so we were really pretty happy about that. And we realized that we needed to make some changes. So originally our plan was a K-5 plan and then a 6-12 plan. And we really looked at it and we're trying to make this one plan that services all of our students, K-12, and that's why we're looking at it as a multi-tiered system of support, providing K-12 academic intervention services using an RTI response, and the RTI is response to intervention, which is so we can get in and help the students quickly. So when we look at MTSS, we're looking at it that we're providing targeted instruction to students that are struggling. So it could be somebody that, is struggling on just one aspect, and we would target that one part, and then the student wouldn't be coming anymore. So it's a very fluid system that we're trying to work on and have. We also want to make sure that we're catching the students early, that we're giving them the support that they need so they can be with their peers and be right where they need to be. This is not only an academic program, but it's also one that we deal and work on behavioral plans with our students.
Okay, a little more on the MTSS and what it is and specifically what it's not, maybe to alleviate any misconceptions or misunderstandings. What it is, it's a preventative model which identifies students' needs early, specific needs. It is not a label we want to put on students. It's supplemental intervention, intensive instruction provided to meet individual students' needs. It's very customized to the individual student. It is not used solely to determine eligibility for special education services. It's a system to monitor student progress based on current and relevant data. And Mr. Zeiswitz will talk a little bit more about that specifically in a second. It's not a one-size-fits-all program. All right, the program is designed to be customized and to address specific needs of the students. It is, the goal is to have success for all students, and it is not an add-on program.
All right, so there's 3 parts to MTSS. The first is that it's a tiered system of instruction and intervention. So Dr. Anderson's going to go over those specific tiers, but just that it's broken down into different tiers for students. It's a systematic problem solving, so trying to figure out exactly the areas of need for our students. And then once we find that problem, using the data to monitor and analyze what's going on so that we can move them from tiers to tier to be able to hopefully give them the support they need so that they can move out of the tiered supports.
So the MTSS, or the triangle that we have here, is really so that we can try to focus on what we're doing well and the areas that we need to work on. So if we look at the bottom in green, that is the instruction that all of our students are getting. So that's tier 1. So all of the students get the same core instruction. Tier 2 is reaching up into going maybe just into that yellow area. And we have tier 2 is our students that are having a little bit of problems, but they need just a little extra support. So it might be something that the teacher would pull them into a small group and they would work on, a specific item that they've noticed that the student has a problem with. We want to have 80% of our students in that area between the tier 1 and the tier 2A. Tier 2B is when we're starting to look at students that need more support. So those are students that would be meeting with our reading teachers, our AIS teachers, or what we call our interventionists. And that's when we're starting to have smaller groups that are pulled for that specific reason. And the idea is that we're seeing those students more frequently, that they'll get the instruction that they need, and then they'll be able to move out. In that yellow band, we're looking at about 15% of our students. And in the top band, or tier 3, about 5% of our students, and that's tier 3, which is more intensive. We move from tier 2, where we might have, say, 6 students in a group, to tier 3, where we might have 3 students in a group and possibly individual students. We're really looking at high frequency. Instead of maybe meeting 20 minutes, we're meeting for 30 minutes more often so that we're focusing on the students. This is the goal that we have in RTI for MTSS, that we have that 80% in the green, 15% in the yellow, and 5% in the red.
All right, so just to break down what Dr. Anderson was talking about for those tiered levels, how do we know where a student is going, what tier they need to be in if they do? So it's really just first off defining the problem. What do we want our students to know and be able to do? So really just looking at the student and kind of seeing if there is a problem in reading, a problem in math, a problem in speech, just kind of having that first, what the problem is. And then being able to analyze the problem. So why can't they do it? Are they struggling in reading because they're having trouble with decoding? Are they not able to articulate certain speech sounds? So really kind of diving deep into what that actual problem looks like. Once we have that, then we can kind of see what that plan is going to be. So what tier they're going to need by coming up with achievable goals and looking at what interventions should be implemented to help them. And then once we have all of that in place, then we're going to start working with them, and then we will evaluate and see how they're doing. Are they succeeding? Are they making progress? Are they not making progress? To really kind of look every 6 to 8 weeks to see if they should stay in that tiered service, if we have to switch what tier they're in, how many students are in a group, or the intervention that they're getting.
Universal screening is the initial first step in the multi-tiered system of supports, and it's used to determine which students need instructional support. All students are assessed at least 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring, and students who may be at risk for poor learning outcomes are identified. The level of instructional support is determined using the tiered system presented by Dr. Anderson. Instructional groups are created that can later be refined with diagnostic assessment data. Tools used to conduct these screenings include ORF, measures of oral reading fluency, MAISE, measures reading comprehension, DIBBLES for early basic literacy, Fontes and Pinnell benchmarking assessments, iReady for math, and iReady for reading. Diagnostic assessments help educators understand causes for student performance. This data can explain the results of a universal screening or other summative assessment. This information is used to plan, modify, and differentiate instruction and interventions. Other tools that provide diagnostic information include analysis of student work, teacher observation of student performance, and even student family interviews. It is important to triangulate the data to determine the accuracy of any assessment because one test alone should not determine the placement of a student. Examples of domains assessed include phonological awareness, phonics, high-frequency words, vocabulary, comprehension of informational text, and comprehension of literature. Specific skills can include differentiating between short and long vowels, drawing inferences from text. In terms of mathematics, the domains are numbers and operations, algebra and algebraic thinking, geometry, measurement, and data. Specific skills can include division fluency or the understanding of fractions. Progress monitoring is checking and feedback stage of the multi-tiered system of supports. Students are regularly assessed to determine the efficacy of the instruction and the interventions to see they are making progress. This occurs more frequently because we do not want to wait to the next universal screening to realize the current interventions are not working. Since the current level of performance for a student or group of students has been determined using the universal screener, and a goal has been set based upon the intended interventions, through progress monitoring, we can see if the actual rate of learning matches the expected rate. Based on this information, changes in the curriculum or the instruction or the intervention or the placement can be made to reflect student needs.
In East Islip, our plan now is to move forward with that one K-12 intervention plan. It will be broken down into the 3 parts within the plan. First is K-5, next is 6-8, and the other is 9-12. Because even as our students move out of the elementary level, we still are providing these services for students to help them be successful on the exit criteria or Regents exams that they need to be successful to graduate. So thank you for allowing us to present tonight, and we're here for any questions.
Yes, I have one. What staff is involved here? Just special ed? Or?
No, this is actually in place to try to not, so we help the students before they end up in special ed. So our reading teachers, our classroom teachers, our AIS staff, those are the people that are providing the interventions for the students.
Thank you.
So I had a question regarding progress reports. So how often will you be using this data that you'll be collecting on the students? How often are you going to be analyzing it? Quarterly, semi-annually, annually?
As Ms. Legg said, we do the monitoring for all students 3 times a year. So that's pretty much about every 15 weeks. Students that are being monitored that we say, oh, we know there's a problem and we need to work with you, that's usually every 6 to 8 weeks. We look at the intervention that's being provided, and then we see if we have to modify it or change it, and if it's working, then we keep working on it and go back and check again.
So I just wanted to piggyback on that. So that information will be shared with parents as we're going through this process?
Yes.
Thank you.
How will it be shared with parents, particularly in the K through 5 is more my question. How will that be communicated to parents? Does that just happen at the parent-teacher conferences, or if their children change tiers during the year?
So when students, parents are notified if your student is put into one of the tiers. If they change a tier, you would be notified also.
By the teacher, or?
By the teacher, and also there's a letter that goes home.
Okay.
So that letter would go home after each one of the progress monitoring or the universal screener. So in September, the student may receive a letter saying they need support in ELA. As we move through the year, when we do the next screening in the winter, they might not need ELA, but they might need math. That would be indicated on the letter that was sent home.
Okay. So just a supplemental question
Sure.
on that. So students with IEPs, will these elements be added into their IEPs?
Students that have an IEP have gone through all of these steps already. So they've already been receiving all of these tiers along the way, and most students that have an IEP are getting services through a special education teacher.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No, it's just a great job. I really appreciate it. I know that, you guys are in a position where you might not get a lot of appreciation, but we do appreciate all the work that you guys are doing. And I just want to say thanks.
Thank you.
Great job, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to go.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
Much better than your predecessor.
No, it's 23 minutes and 40 seconds.
Public comments on agenda items only. Okay. Certified personnel. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leave of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the certified personnel attachments. Before we vote, and on this we have our teacher retirements. So, Mr. Carpluck, I'd like to vote to table number 8.
Yeah, I second that.
No, I'm against that.
I'm against that as well.
Okay, 8 stays in. Unfortunately, Ms. Maloney will be voting on you tonight. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we've had several retirees in today's personnel agenda, and I would just like to ask you, if you're here, to stand up. Mrs. Stevens, Mrs. Stapleton, and Mrs. Maloney. So, on behalf of the East Islip School District, Board of Education, and community, we thank you for your service. Your commitment to our students and community has been tremendous. We wish you the best in your retirement, and certainly, please feel free to come back and visit. Your home will always be here in East Islip. Congratulations.
Nothing like the teacher retirement party, I'll tell you that. So, look forward to that, but congratulations, ladies. Thank you very much for your service to our district and all the teachers that are on our agenda and being approved tonight. It's always sad to see them go. A lot of them have been here a long time, have impacted a lot of students' lives here, and been such a benefit to the district, and it's sad to see them go, but it's great to see the new ones and how great our new teachers have been doing. So I guess it's just part of the circle of life for a district, but thank you guys very much for everything you've done, and congratulations, a long, healthy retirement to all of you. So thank you for everything you've done for us. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leaves of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the non-certified personnel attachments. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, recommends the Board of Education approve the consent agenda, items 9.1 through 9.15, in accordance with the action presented for each item. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the new annual scholarship named the Charles Pulaski Environmental Scholarship. The scholarship will have 3 levels to be awarded: gold $1,000, silver $500, and bronze $250. Will be awarded to a graduating senior who lives in the town of Islip and has exhibited a real concern for environmental preservation. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And thank you very much to Mr. Pulaski's family who's offering this up. It's such a great way to remember somebody and to give a student a scholarship fund is a terrific way to do it. So thank you very much for your very generous donation. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves a new scholarship named the Good Mojo Art Scholarship in the amount of $200. This art scholarship will be awarded to a graduating senior who is pursuing an art graphic education in the future. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Love the name.
It's great.
It's great.
All in favor?
Aye.
So thank you very much for whoever's responsible for this great new scholarship. Again, just a great way to reward a student and doing a great thing.
Chris, that business is right by my office, and she does great work.
Okay.
For me and for the community. So that's really nice of her.
Awesome. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts a donation of $2,148.67 from SEPTA. This donation will fund the attached list of grants that SEPTA approved for these teachers. The revenue code to be increased is 2705.000, and the budget code to be increased is 2250-533-000000. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now, SEPTA was great. They do such a great job. I know, I'm not sure if the Super Bowl boxes are sold out for SEPTA yet, but if they aren't, please go on there. I've heard this is an example of it. So they do such a great job for our kids, and when you get the chance, please, every month they have their meetings. Just go on. It's very, very informative, and they have some great presenters. So please continue to support SEPTA, and you see the great thing that they're doing here with this very generous donation. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education accepts the donation of a PlayStation 4 and an EA Sports Madden 20 game to the East Islip Esports Club from Nicholas Apicella, a high school student. The value of this donation is approximately $480. This donation will be enjoyed by the students in the high school club. You get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's just a charitable night here. This is great. So thank you, Nicholas, for your generous donation, and I'm sure a lot of kids will, and maybe staff, I don't know, if it's a club after school, will be enjoying this, so thank you very much. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education approves the attached list of appropriation changes for the 22-23 school year. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. Harrison, can you just review those for us? I mean, there's only two significant ones. Just go over those two.
Sure. There's a appropriation change for the high school to fund the transportation cost for some field trips that have occurred during the 22-23 school year. We've seen an increase in pricing with the transportation, so that's what necessitated that increase of $2,000. In addition, it was requested that the district purchase jackets for the high school band department, which was not a budgeted item, again necessitating a appropriation change of $4,623. It was moved from a code that was not meeting those funds for this particular school year.
Is that like a uniform or something for the high school band?
It's I believe it's jackets for when the band marches in the parades. These jackets will be retained by the school district and remain district property, so they're not they're part of district property.
Gotcha. Thank you.
We should have had them already,
Yeah.
but better late than never, so terrific. So moving on. Old business. Any old business?
Any retirees one? Oh, no, sorry. Old business.
Old business. Anything? No?
No.
Okay. Any new business?
Yes, I just want to mention, me and my wife on Saturday went to the middle school show, Mary Poppins. That was the first time I ever been to a middle school show. I've been to a bunch of the high school shows, and it was unbelievable. I want to congratulate Ms. Hirth and Doyle and whoever else was involved in that production. The kids were unbelievable. Seeing 6th graders to 8th graders do this all I was thinking about was the future when they're in high school. They were so good now. It's really, and all I've been doing is singing Mary Poppins songs for the past week. I don't even recall seeing the movie when it came out, but I just remembered the songs. So again, congratulations to everybody involved in the middle school show. It was really touching and unbelievable.
So I'm going to piggyback on that because I also saw the show. I saw it Friday night. Again, the kids did a fabulous job. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like Mr. Rowland said, the kids were excellent. It was awesome to see. I also got to attend the RCK play of Willy Wonka. The kids there, phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. I couldn't believe, again, we have so much potential here in the district with our students, and you know, the teachers, again, that are leading them and helping them along the way is such a great thing to see. And I was just so excited watching both of those shows, so I just wanted to report out on that.
That was Mr. Clancy.
That was Mr. Clancy, yes.
Yes, did a great job. Yes, there's a field trip tomorrow, I know. A bunch of kids are going to the courthouse, so it's great to see the field trips picking up. I know a lot of people like to, ask about them, so good luck to the kids tomorrow in the courthouse. Not my favorite place to be, but hopefully the kids learn a lot there. That's great. Also, under new business, we did receive a memo from the New York State Department of Education regarding our name and mascot. So I have reached out to somebody pretty high up over there to discuss the situation. And just for the record, we plan on being in compliance with the New York State directive. We just got to find out what the state is expecting from us. I don't believe it's anything that has to be done right away, but we will comply with whatever the state asks us to do on that. We will post the memo on the website if you'd like to see what the state has sent.
Another thing, Chris, one of the things we approved on the consent agenda was they called it a field trip with the wrestlers. A few of the wrestlers will be going up to the States, and the wrestling team did unbelievable this year. And I don't know how many wrestlers are actually going. I think 3 that are at that level to be in the state championships. And that's going to be the end of February. So I want to mention something now. Good luck to them, whichever ones are going. And congratulations to the wrestling team and their coaches.
Yeah, hopefully we can have them in here after that. That'd be great.
I might want to chime in as well about, I dropped my daughter off. She's a JV cheerleader. I dropped her off to see the varsity girls going off to nationals as well. It's one of the things that flies under the radar sometimes, but they're in a national championship in Disney at the moment. I believe it's going to be televised, so if you want to check that out, you can see it. It's a pretty big accomplishment for the varsity cheerleaders as well. So just wanted to give them a quick shout.
All good stuff. Anything else? Any other new business?
This is like meetings of the old days. This is
Yeah.
nice.
Makes you want to come back.
I'm retired.
Stephanie.
Teresa Howell. Go to the microphone. Hi, I just wanted to put a face to a program, a foster grandparent program. I was in it since 2012 at Timber Point. I know Dr. Bell. And this year, the last thing I knew is it was being discussed, but it probably wasn't going to be happening this year in East Islip, but maybe next year. But so far, there were other foster grandparents. There were like 4 at Connecticut, but they lost one already to Patchogue. And there were supposed to be, I think, 3 total at Timber Point, but one gave up and she went to Bayshore, I believe. So I was just wondering what the status of things were and why there's a problem with the program that it's been around for a long time. I know I was there since 2012, and I think other grandparents have been there since Grandpa Arthur, and that was like at least 10 years before that.
So you started in 2012?
Yeah, with the program.
When was the last time that you were there?
Right, March of 20, when they closed the schools.
Okay.
20, whatever.
Because,
20.
we didn't know much about the program before that, and then obviously with COVID, that kind of shut it down.
Yeah.
Obviously, the less people you have in schools, the better. They
Right.
can close
Well,
off to everybody.
Yeah.
I know
I didn't
that's
really
still
want to be in there then either.
Yeah, no, I know. So I know there's still kind of some reservation as to extra people in the schools every day, but we'll certainly discuss it if you could
Yeah,
reach out
'cause
to Mr.
people-
Manzo,
I
and
think-
Mr. Manzo can talk to you about it, and we could talk about maybe bring that program back.
Yeah, because I know people were back in Bayshore, I think, before, like, by September at least, if not
Okay.
before that. I don't know about Patchogue and other school districts, but, you know, they were in there, and I know the Grandma Carol, the one that went from Timber Point to Brook School, she's been there for months. She just gave, you know, they just gave up because they kept saying, be patient, we haven't heard anything yet. Be patient, we haven't heard anything yet. You know, and we'd keep checking with, the teacher would keep checking with Mrs. Nacarado, and I would keep checking with my program, but, you know, it just was like in limbo.
Yeah, feel free to call Mr. Manzo and discuss it, whether he'll talk to you, whether the pros and the cons of the program and why, or well, if it's going to run maybe in September, we'll definitely talk about it.
Okay. But it's definitely not running this year? That's a definite no for this year?
As far as to get started now, we're in February. I'm not sure. Like I said, I just found out about this an hour ago. So we could talk about it, but I'm not sure if it could get up and going by, you know, in the next few weeks to make it worthwhile before the end of the year. But certainly, like I said, it will be on our agenda.
Yeah, because I read every Friday aloud. I read on Google Classroom to Miss McGee's class. I read books.
Great.
I've been doing that all year. And I did it during last year, too.
Okay.
And to Mrs. Kilkelly's class, too. So things have been going on, even though I haven't been going on, like, in person, like that.
No, definitely. Thank you very much for volunteering your time.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. And can you stay after the meeting? It's going to end. I want to talk to you about something. Thank you.
Thank you. Steph? That's it. That's all. Oh, I have a complaint. Mr. Dolan's still calling me. So I don't know if I'm going to need an order of protection or what, but just so you know, he's still calling.
Lose my number.
All right, that's all. Nice short meeting tonight. Thank you all for coming. Hope everybody has a great Valentine's Day. Enjoy the week off. Be safe. Safe travels if you're going anywhere. So the next Board of Education regular business meeting and budget presentation number 1. Mr. Harrison's big night will be held on Thursday, March 9th, 2023. Come, being all ears. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Safe home.